We've all heard some variant of the phrase, good business is just about building good relationships. But as true as that statement is, it's also true that building and maintaining good relationships is hard. It takes time, thought, passion, and connection. And perhaps one of the most challenging business relationships to nurture and keep healthy is the relationship between co-founders.
These ventures, they're not 1-month ventures. They're not 1-year journeys. You kind of have to think about this as like a 10-year journey. I'm about to go on a 10-year journey. Are you ready? Do we all want to go on this journey together?
Kraig Swensrud is the founder of Qualified.com and partner to an all-star team of co-founders. The commitment of time, money, and mental bandwidth that going all in requires is all-consuming to say the least. But doing it with a co-founder or co-founders who you trust is the secret ingredient to making it all a bit more manageable and also making it a lot more fun. There are always exciting things happening in the world of small business. The news that grabs the headlines, though, are always the highlights, the overnight successes, the billion-dollar IPOs, the massive exits. But just like your Instagram feed, that's never the whole story. Let's look deeper than the headlines and the press photos. Underneath all of that is the real work building something valuable and lasting. Don't get me wrong, I love crazy success stories and can be drawn into those big flashy tales just as much as the next person. But we all know that what's more important than the destination is how you get there. It's the struggles you have to overcome and the insights you learn along the way that make you who you are. So those are the stories we're telling. It's raw, it's honest, and maybe it's exactly what you need to hear. I'm Hillary Georgie, and this is The Journey. Kraig grew up in sunny San Diego, California, and in between playing on the beach with sand dollars, little Kraig's wheels were turning, thinking up ways to make real dollars.
One of the things that I recall fairly early on as a kid is I was always interested in figuring out how to make money. And I had a lot of different ideas, buying things at a garage sale, fixing them up and selling them at another garage sale, mowing lawns.
His first big breakthrough came in the 7th grade when he caught wind of a fundraising strategy that he wanted in on.
I noticed that at school, a lot of the kids were selling these candy bars to raise money. And I saw the fact that you can sell candy bars at school. So I saved up $20 from my allowance. I bought a bunch of candy bars and I put them in a big Ziploc bag and I went to school and I bought them for 25 cents at the store, and at school I could sell them for 50 cents. And so all of a sudden I was like, wow, I could just keep doing this over and over and over, and I can sink my profits back into the business and continue to kind of grow my candy bar selling empire, only to find out a few weeks later that one of my teachers said, "Hey, Kraig, who are you raising money for?"
Naturally, Kraig's teacher didn't love his answer. Kraig's aspiration of running a candy bar empire were shut down, but it was a great early lesson not only in what it looked like and felt like to turn a profit, but in the importance of business ethics. Throughout the years, Kraig's dreams and schemes didn't stop, and his urgency to find a sustainable way to make money grew. But he no longer just wanted money, he needed it.
When I graduated from college, I quickly realized I was on my own. In order to support myself, I had to figure out how to make money. And I was fascinated with technology, and there really wasn't the web or the internet as we know it today back then, but I was still fascinated with software, and I knew I had to go to work.
Kraig got a job at Oracle doing manual data entry. It was by no means a glorious position, and at just $25K a year, it was definitely not a financial windfall. But it was a way to kickstart his career in tech. He worked hard and proved himself. Before long, he was promoted to a sales engineer, and he got experience working alongside big companies as they were buying Oracle's software.
And I started to learn how all these large enterprises function. I wanted to go to a smaller company because I wanted to learn other functions of a company. And I was inspired by this technology around the turn of the century, right during the dot-com heyday. It was a company called Web Methods and a great CEO, Philip Merrick. And I cold emailed Philip and I said, I want to work for your company. I think this is the next great thing. And I want a job at your company. And I got the job. It was a killer experience. It was great technology. And this company it's known to this day for being on its IPO day, the biggest single gain in the history of the NASDAQ. So really great success story.
That victory inspired him to go even smaller. He joined a 20-person startup, But as eager as he had been to help another business succeed, Kraig was treated with a harsh reality check. The business failed spectacularly.
I learned that not all companies are successful. And in fact, you hear this stat that 99% of small businesses go out of business, but it's not until you actually see it and live through it that you're like, whoa, this is what it's like. And it was a really pivotal point in my career because one of the colleagues, one of my best friends at the time, we were unemployed. And then the question was, well, what do we do next? My colleague and best friend, Sean, he said, well, why don't we just start a company?
Kraig had always been a hands-on, fumble through until you figure it out type of learner. So while he knew nothing about starting a company, it seemed like a great opportunity to learn by doing. In 2006, he and Sean created a company called Keyed In, which integrated Google's ad system with Salesforce.
We had some ideas about how to build the technology, and we joined forces with another brilliant technologist who helped us. So there were actually 3 of us who started that company. And something that we quickly learned is that, especially in technology, and probably this is true for every venture, it is so important to have a founding team.
Keyed In became successful through partnerships, specifically with Salesforce. In fact, Salesforce appreciated the technology so much that 8 months later, they offered to acquire Kraig's company. Realizing they were still quite naive about running and growing a business, Kraig and Sean were happy to hand over the keys. But the acquisition wasn't the only great thing that came out of Kraig's partnership with Salesforce.
Ultimately, the CEO, Mark Benioff, asked me to be the chief marketing officer. And I took that job reluctantly because I felt like I wasn't prepared. I didn't have the complete skill set. But one of the things I learned from that experience was that to be a leader, you don't have to know everything. You don't have to be able to do every function. You have to surround yourself with great people, and the organization and the company can succeed.
As CMO, Kraig learned a lot, not just about business, but about the people behind the business. And while he loved Salesforce, he was itching to be back in the hot seat of entrepreneurship. After the break, find out about Kraig's current business venture, the mentors he had along the way, including a key insight from Steve Jobs, and Kraig's philosophy for team building.
As part of Salesforce's continued commitment to small businesses, they've recently announced Salesforce Care for Small Business, a combination of free products to help during the COVID-19 crisis. New customers will get 3 months free access to out-of-the-box CRM, Salesforce Essentials, and Analytics Solution Tableau, as well as 6 months free access to collaboration tool Quip. Now, more than ever, small businesses need the right tools to connect with their customers. Salesforce is here to help. To learn more, visit salesforce.com/thejourney.
Kraig was onto his next big idea, a venture that sought to solve a problem that had been plaguing him since he walked the halls of Salesforce.
All the people on my team in the marketing organization at Salesforce at that time, they teased me for many reasons. One of the things they teased me about is I ran around the floor and I constantly said, I'm blind. I'm blind. Like, I don't know what's going on. Everything we would do, social media advertising, email marketing, pay-per-click, search engine marketing, content marketing, events, dinners, like the call to action said, come to our website. And on our website, we had forms where we captured people's names and those became the leads that would feed the sales organization. Well, I was like, okay, obviously the website is like the most important thing in my world. And so how come I can't see what's happening there? How come I can't see there are 1,000 people on my website right now? Who are they? Companies are they from? How big are those companies? Where are they located? That's totally crazy. That was the genesis for the venture that I'm currently working on, which is Qualified.
It's a business idea that had been stewing for years, and now finally it was the right time, and Kraig had the right team to make it happen.
Starting a company, no matter how much experience you've had, is always a challenge. And it starts with the founding team. People always say it's like your life partner. It's like your husband or your wife at work, right? You're going to fight, you're going to get along, but ultimately, like, you have to have the same vision. You have to be aligned with what you want to create. And the interesting thing about a technology company specifically is you need multiple types of people. And you need to be able to execute all the business functions. In rare cases, it's one person. But if you go back to almost every successful technology company, it's more than one person. And you need that co-founder or you need that co-founding team. In our case, we founded the company with 4 people. There are 4 founders at our company. One of my co-founders, Sean Whiteley, who I've been working with for more than 20 years. All 3 companies that we founded, we did together. And we encountered these other 2 guys, Bing Yang and Gopal Patel. They are incredible people. They are incredible technologists. And when we met them over the course of our career, we were just like, these guys we want to be working with forever.
A big founding team is a rare gem. Together, their cumulative technical knowledge and business experience gave them an early leg up as they began to formulate a plan for Qualified.com.
One of the things we learned from our first 2 companies is that we wasted actually a lot of time building something before we even knew if somebody wanted to buy it, before we even knew their reaction. And once you get down into the weeds of building a product and trying to invent something, you can't see it with a beginner's mind ever again. So you have to go show it to other people. And you have to go show it not to other people like your friends and your family. You have to go show it to other people who might be the potential buyers of a thing like this. So our approach was, let's go try to sell this before we build it. And so we just started drawing pictures of what this thing would look like. And we drew pictures and we created like a 50-slide Google slide deck. And we clicked through the Google slide deck as if you were clicking on the screen. So we drew the product in pictures before we wrote a single line of code. And then we started showing that slide deck to people.
Kraig tapped into his network to find personas of their ideal buyers. He presented their concepts for Qualified, got feedback from his network, and from there he was able to refine the product before he and his team had even started really building it.
Your founding team is critically important, and have those early milestones be as rapid as possible so that you can learn as fast as possible and you can decide, what are my options at this point? What do I do with the company? Where do we go, or how do we turn?
They were able to set the tone and the pace for the project early on, and the team was able to divvy up work effectively. But Kraig didn't just rely on the expertise of his peers. He also leaned on the insights of several mentors along the way. Perhaps most notable on the long list of people he's learned from is Steve Jobs.
I had the unbelievable opportunity to meet Steve Jobs in his office in Cupertino when he was still running Apple. We had built this thing into Salesforce. It was called Chatter at the time, and it was the kind of the first social network that was inside of a corporate app. And we went down to visit Steve Jobs to show him this and say, you're a visionary. What do you think? And so we gave him a product demo, and Mark said, well, Steve, what do you think? And he said, I don't know. Is this going to make you happy? Is launching this product going to make you happy? And that was his one answer. He didn't give us any other feedback on the product. And I've thought about this meeting. I think about it all the time. And I've thought about that every time we're thinking about starting a company, or we're maybe taking a pivot in our own company, or we're going to build another feature. And we're like, is building this thing going to make you happy? Now, look, most entrepreneurs don't have the luxury of building something that just makes them happy, because ultimately you have to make money to stay in business. But what I can say is the venture that I'm currently working on, which is Qualified.com, this is the company that I've always wanted to build. This is the product that our team has always wanted to build. This is the pain that I've always felt in my former life as a CMO. And that's why I'm so excited about this journey in particular.
Today, Qualified has 14 employees and is still growing. So Kraig's mission isn't just to do what makes him feel happy and fulfilled. It's to create the space so his founding team and employees feel that way too.
People want to believe that they are joining you on this journey because they see your vision. They enjoy working on something new. They're excited about the technology. They have fun at work. They're working with people they admire and respect. And so that's kind of the first step, which is how do you be open and radically transparent with every single person in the company while still having this level of confidence and excitement that is kind of the driving force that inspires other people to join your team.
Ever the sports fan, Kraig likes to think about his founding team and first hires as a basketball team, making plays in silent concert.
when you have a really great bond and level of trust and respect with not only your founding team, but your first 10, your first 20 employees, when you have that type of bond and you're making like shovel passes behind your back, that's a phenomenal culture. I think that's what everybody wants in every company, but it's all about the people and it's all about the initial crew wanting that all together. It's not just the founders. The first 10 employees is the basis for the whole company. And so your first hires are the most key.
Since middle school, Kraig's been hopping from one business venture to another. Over that time, he's gained experience in understanding what a founding team looks like and why it's those bonds that not only form the foundation of the business, but actually live on beyond the confines of business and bleed into lifetime friendships and partnerships. Because culture starts from the top and works its way down. It is rooted in the relationships shared among founders, and it flourishes when the right people find a connection and then nurture that partnership to better themselves, their company, and everyone who works with them. Because as Brian Chesky, the founder of Airbnb said, quote, "A company's culture is the foundation for future innovation. An entrepreneur's job is to build the foundation."
Today's uncertain business climate makes it critical to stay in touch with your customers and employees. That's why Salesforce recently announced Salesforce Care for Small Business, a combination of free products to help businesses during the COVID-19 crisis. New customers will get 3 months free access to out-of-the-box CRM Salesforce Essentials and analytics solution Tableau, as well as 6 months free access to collaboration tool Quip. Salesforce is here to help you stay connected. To learn more, visit salesforce.com/thejourney.